Number 55. Uninvited guest. This ghost is gate crashing. TikToker Leyenda's Dementary shares this scary video, providing some necessary context. They write, "This video is 10 years old. It was my friend's surprise birthday. That's why I was crying. There were no children at the party. I didn't believe in this until it happened in my house." Let's see what happened exactly. The OP says they only noticed the strange child standing in the background after watching the video back 10 years later. Watch as the child takes a step up the stairs and then seemingly vanishes. You might think the child only seemed to disappear because the girl stood in the way when she approached the cake on the counter. But when you watch again in real time, judging by the child's gait, that looks impossible. The child simply couldn't have moved that quickly, nor does it seem to make a sound. Is this a demon? It's looking like that's the only possible explanation. Number 54. Hiding in the ceiling. This squatter will have you checking every corner of your crawl space. TikToker Jem Caleb Brace shares footage of a mysterious creature hiding in their roof. Some in the comments think it's a chupacabra or a leprechaun, but TikTokers as a whole seem to have been traumatized by the movie Jeepers Creepers, with many suggesting it's the Jeepers Creepers hand. Emerging every 23 years to feast for 23 days. The demonic winged creature uses its claw-like hand as a weapon, snatching victims with terrifying speed and precision. Its appearance is both humanoid and beastly, covered in a rough, scaly texture and so strong that it rips through flesh, metal, and anything else that stands in its way. The hand also has regenerative abilities. Even when severed, it can continue to move and act independently, retaining a life of its own. Is this the Creeper's hand? It sure looks like it. After calling a maintenance person, the OP was advised that it was probably a raccoon or an iguana. After seeing this second video, many still insist that it's the Jeepers Creepers. But a third video uncovers the truth. The maintenance worker returns but finds nothing. But finally, the big reveal. Here's some footage of squatters from the Ring doorbell camera. Thankfully, it's just a family of raccoons, and not Jeepers Creepers as so many believed. Or is it? Many people in the comments still think the hand they saw is not that of the raccoon. TikToker Riley Freeman 2028 writes, The large hand in the original video does not match the hands of the raccoons we see in this video. Still concerned. Lil Muffy adds, "Nobody can convince me that's the same creature." Are you convinced? Or is Jeepers Creepers still hiding in the attic? Number 53. Dog ignites stove. A dog decided to make himself a midnight snack and ended up cooking up trouble for its owner. Redditor Miss Kratos shares this footage captured on CCTV by Brittany Seals in Colorado Springs. The dog is seen leaning on the stove's control knobs, apparently triggering its lighter as the flame comes to life. There must be something flammable on the stove, as a short while later, this happens. One of the home's human residents is captured on camera running into the kitchen and attempting to turn off the stove, but it seems like it's far too late for that. Many in the comments remark that it's not smart to leave flammable objects on a stovetop with pets in the house. Others are wondering if the dog made it out safely. Though the fire looks terrifying on video and appears to engulf the place in flames, a USA Today article states that the homeowner managed to put the fire out. By the time firefighters arrived, the blaze was extinguished, and aside from a hospitalization from smoke inhalation, no one was injured, not even the culprit. As for whether the damage can be repaired, Redditor Baby Genius has some thoughts on that. They write, "Insurance be like, thanks for the evidence. We don't cover dog arson." Number 52. Ghost in the window. Prior to putting her house on the market, YouTuber Natalie Bonovich was taking some video when she captured something disturbing. She only noticed the capture later as she was reviewing the footage. Did you see it? Keep your eye in the front left window. A strange figure manifests there, and it has commenters split. YouTuber Raymond Rodriguez 8859 writes, "It just looks like reflections of light to me," while Whimsy Wendy responds, "Finally, I actually see something in a video uploaded to YouTube. I see something white like a face appear at the window, then it disappears." Although many agree that it's unnerving, most believe it's probably just the reflection. Some note that it shrinks as soon as she moves left, due to the shifting light. This is probably a case of light and shadow, but you gotta admit, it does make for a creepy effect. Number 51. Something's happening. After arriving at this hotel, TikToker Marley At noticed something strange happening in one of the rooms. Just watch. The figure's movements look almost mechanical, and somehow its shape looks a bit uncanny. This part especially is throwing some viewers off. It looks like the figure peered out, directly at the camera person. As the video continues, it only gets weirder. The real mystery is why the figure keeps opening and closing the curtains. And why is it peering out at intervals? Theories about the strange behavior range from trying to put a kid to sleep to getting their 10,000 steps in. Others think the person saw the TikToker recording them and is just trying to freak them out. What do you think's going on here? Number 50. Disturbing the animals. Something evil is about to enter this animal pen. TikToker Llorona shares this footage of a dark entity causing chaos. The entity doesn't look like another predatory animal. It appears to stand upright and looks almost human. Most in the comments believe that animals can sense evil that we cannot. Some also suggest that this may be the Brazilian folkloric creature, the saki. The saki, or saki parer, is a well-known figure often depicted as a mischievous, one-legged black youth who wears a red cap and smokes a pipe. According to legend, the saki possesses supernatural abilities, including the power to disappear and reappear at will, control the wind, and create various types of mischief. He's said to cause minor disturbances, such as making objects disappear, creating small whirlwinds, or leading travelers astray in the forest. Despite his often troublesome antics, the saki is not considered evil. Rather, he is a trickster who embodies the unpredictable nature of the natural world. One of the defining features of the saki is his red cap, or pano vermelho, which is believed to grant him magical powers. In many tales, the saki's power is linked to this hat, and losing it can render him powerless. He also has a single leg, which he uses to hop around. He's often described as having been cursed or afflicted in this manner. Although the shadow figure doesn't appear to be wearing a red cap, perhaps this saki has lost his and is now powerless. In any case, the saki is just a mischief maker, so the animal's fear seems unfounded. Number 49. Glitch in the Matrix. This woman is trapped in a glitch in the Matrix. TikToker Código Oculto.com shares footage of the odd occurrence, and it has many scratching their heads. The OP says the woman was standing frozen like this for an entire minute. Cars pass by, and suddenly the woman bounces jarringly out of her glitch. This may be a type of glitch known as people freezing. People freezing is when observed individuals appear to be motionless or frozen for an unusual length of time, often in mid-action. This can be particularly unsettling if they suddenly resume their activity as if nothing happened. And that appears to be exactly what is unfolding here. What do you think? Matrix glitch or a very impressive street performer? Performing to no one. Number 48. Matrix glitch. A mind-bending glitch in the Matrix has been captured on camera in Los Angeles, California. Instagrammer Bien Forever shares this footage of a woman frozen stiff in a parking lot.
No, literally.
Wait.
What the
Wait, she's not moving at all.
That's what I'm saying. What is going on here?
The woman looks like she was returning to her vehicle with her shopping bags when she just froze in time. Others in the parking lot start to notice and show concern.
Anyone seeing this? What is going on? Look, even
that's
looking.
crazy.
No, she's looking. Look.
What?
But then she abruptly unfreezes and goes about life like everything is normal. Instagrammer CallieGirl1961 writes, "She seemed dazed when she finally did move. It's a glitch in the Matrix. I'm seeing this a lot these days." These glitches are often perceived as brief lapses in the smooth operation of reality, movements where the underlying code of existence seems to show its cracks. The human pause is one of the creepiest types of glitch, and there have been numerous anecdotal reports of such incidents. In many cases, the subject's eyes might remain open, their expression frozen, and they appear completely unaware of their surroundings. This pause can last for seconds or even minutes, and then, just as abruptly, they resume their activities as if nothing happened. Witnesses often describe a sense of surrealism, as if they are watching a video in which only some of the screen has suddenly paused. The frozen individual does not respond to external stimuli, remaining perfectly still until the glitch resolves. These occurrences are deeply unsettling to observers. Others in the comments say it's a neurological disorder or a brief neurological episode, similar to absence seizures, where the brain momentarily shuts down conscious activity. And still others think it's a real-life NPC. What's an NPC? In the realm of video games, NPCs are characters that are programmed by game developers to perform specific but limited roles and functions within the game's world. Beyond gaming, the concept of an NPC has been adopted in internet culture to describe individuals who appear to behave in a highly predictable or unoriginal manner, as if they're following a script. Just as in games, so-called real-life NPCs are perceived to act in ways that lack spontaneity. There's also a general sense of detachment or lack of awareness about their surroundings. Of all these theories, what do you think is really going on here? One thing's for sure, it feels completely off. Looks so fancy I can tell writes, "Did anyone get her license plate perhaps? X-Files kind of stuff." Number 47. Acorn in the sky. A floating acorn-shaped object was captured descending from the sky, and it has Redditors questioning everything. Redditor Space Jungle Boogie shares the compelling footage from two different angles. Here's the first. This first video was posted on YouTube in October 2018, but it has since been removed and is not accessible through web archives. However, it has reappeared on several paranormal channels in the past couple of years, albeit in lower resolution. Several people in the comments say it reminds them of a similar unidentified flying object event that happened in Pennsylvania, with Redditor OU812302 writing, "They have a monument in PA of this exact type of ship." This notorious event occurred on December 9th, 1965, in the small town of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. Witnesses reported seeing a fireball streak across the sky in the afternoon, followed by reports of an object crashing into nearby woods. Described as acorn-shaped and about the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, The unidentified object drew immediate attention from locals and authorities. Rumors quickly spread that the object was not just a meteor, but potentially something otherworldly. Witnesses claimed to have seen military personnel cordoning off the crash site and removing a strange, acorn-shaped object on a flatbed truck. Reports from the time suggest that the object had hieroglyphic-like markings around its base. Official explanations were initially elusive. Despite widespread public interest and media coverage, the US government and military officials provided conflicting information, from denials of any recovery operation to assertions that it was merely a meteorological device. Over the years, speculation about the Kecksburg incident has persisted, fueled by various theories ranging from crashed experimental aircraft to extraterrestrial spacecraft. Is this another experimental aircraft? Is it extraterrestrial? Some Redditors say it looks like a metapod, which is a bug-like Pokemon similar in shape to this, while others think it's just a balloon drifting on a breeze. A second video shows the object descending from a different angle. The videos are described as being filmed over Catemaco, Mexico, though at one point they were labeled as from Waimea, Hawaii. Based on the surroundings, which resemble many local roads, it seems more likely that the footage was taken in Mexico. If it is Mexico, one Redditor, Maury Markowitz, notes that there's a famous annual balloon festival in September in San Andres Tuxtla, which is about 7 miles from Catemaco. So, could this just be an escaped drifter? Or is it Kecksburg 2.0? Number 46. The Night Shift. While working in the middle of nowhere at an undisclosed facility, a night guard experienced something unexplainable during his night shift. TikToker Daily UTLRPD shares the footage. Watch to the right of the screen as a mysterious figure appears. As the guard exits the building and heads out to investigate, he finds that all is not what it seems.
Baktım, kayboldu. Buradan kayboldu. Ondan sonra koşturdum bir şey.
The figure appears to ascend into the sky and disappear. In fact, it looks like two figures are ascending. Many in the comments are wondering what these streaks of mist are as the figure disappears. They're also questioning why the figure itself does not appear fully formed.
Burada fark ettim. Dışarı çıktım.
This lack of substance and density in some spirits creates a nature that appears like mist, smoke, or fog in form. There are several theories as to why ghosts might choose or appear in this less tangible form. One idea is that the energy required for a spirit to take on a fully physical form is immense, and most spirits may not possess enough energy to do so. Instead, they opt for a diffused manifestation, which requires less energy and is easier to maintain. Another theory suggests that the misty form is a reflection of the ghost's liminal state. Being caught between worlds, ghosts may not be able to solidify completely in our reality, resulting in their semi-transparent appearance. The fact that at the end of the clip the misty figure ascends into the sky might mean that it's finally made its transition from its liminal state to the next world. Number 45. Child Spirit. While driving at night through a cemetery, TikToker Lupus Gamer sees something unbelievable cross the road. Watch closely.
Regina, mira ¡Míralo, míralo, míralo! ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? No, sí lo vi, sí lo vi. Sí, ¿qué es eso? ¿Qué era eso? ¿Qué era eso? ¿Ves que sí pasó algo? Sí lo vi.
A moment later, a child's voice is heard. And then, the child is seen, clear as day. The women are panicking. After all, what is a child doing in the cemetery at night? Although it could be a human child, they clearly think it's a child's spirit, which is typically thought to be the soul of a child, unable to move on due to unfinished business, strong emotional ties, or traumatic experiences. Encounters with child spirits are said to be both heart-wrenching and unsettling, as these entities often retain a sense of innocence and playfulness, juxtaposed with an eerie presence centered around their untimely demise. There have also been a number of cases of demons or other dark entities masquerading as children. So in not knowing exactly what they're dealing with, this terrified reaction is understandable. Number 44. Sealed Well. In 2018, Redditor Federal Entertainer 21 purchased an 1850s house in North Wales, UK. A few years later, while landscaping the garden, they discovered a sealed freshwater well. The well had been covered with concrete and brick paving. Believing it to have been sealed for over 70 years, they cracked it open. Listen to the horror they found within. It sounds like sirens are screaming from beyond the grave. While many in the comments agree this is terrifying, some think it's natural. Redditor Geisterbefriedung writes, "Creepy sound, but most certainly nothing paranormal. It's just a random noise that could have been caused by airflow or things rubbing against each other. A well is a huge resonating pipe after all." The OP agrees with this, suggesting it's just gases escaping. Although some in the comments do think the sound is from the screams of spirits who died down in that well, most think a negative pressure differential is probably the source. It's still super unnerving though. We'll give Redditor Mick Mongan the last word. They write, "Well, you're gonna die in 7 days. Spend them wisely." Number 43. The Knocker. If something unknown is knocking at the door, don't answer. TikToker Armadillo Brother shares footage of an entity terrorizing this family in their own home.
Move.
The dogs sense its presence, but there appears to be no one on the front porch. So who or what is knocking? The OP says this happened on another occasion a few days before, when the woman's husband was home alone. This could be one of the two types of spirits known as the door knockers. Both Nongangatak and Kumakatak are spectral beings from Filipino folklore, with katak literally meaning to knock. The Kumakatak entities are often described as three mysterious figures. an elderly man, a young woman, and a tall hooded figure whose face remains hidden, usually cloaked in black hoods. The trio is said to appear unannounced and knock on the doors of residences, usually at night. The arrival of these spectral visitors is considered an ominous sign, often foretelling death or severe illness within the household. During times of epidemic or widespread illness, sightings of the Kamakatak were reported to have increased, reinforcing their reputation as harbingers of doom. Ignoring their knock could result in a curse or bad luck. Conversely, answering the door could directly invite misfortune into the home. Nangangatak, on the other hand, are not seen at all. Similarly, they're harbingers of death or illness. But according to some, if you don't open the door, you will not invite their curse in, and they'll move on to their next victim. As there are no hooded beings outside of this TikToker's door, could this be Nangangatak? Or maybe the knocker is not invisible after all. In another video, the TikToker shares a creepy sighting in the woods outside their home. A shadowy figure filters through the trees. Now, this makes one consider that it might be the Kamakatak after all. Are the mysterious robed entities watching, waiting to strike? Many in the comments think it's just a bear, but considering its lurking movements and the ominous nighttime knocking, something doesn't feel right. Number 42. Saging and paranormal activity. TikToker Smug Puppy frequently faces off with various dark entities in their home. As they sage the place, these dark forces rear their ugly head. The entities grow angrier when she continues to sage the room. Here it is again in slow-mo. Some in the comments suggest the person in the clip might be saging wrong. TikToker Dez writes, "When you sage, you have to open a window or a door and demand they leave, and just keep yourself calm and intentions focused." Jess adds, "The sage isn't even really burning. It has to be smoky." Stitch says, "You may have just trapped it in." As the process continues, it does seem like the entities are escalating instead of dispersing.
Oh, that's it.
These TikTokers might be on the right track. The traditional practice of saging, or smudging, does have to be done in a specific way to work. The process typically involves burning white sage and using the smoke to purify the environment. But before you begin, it's important to set a clear intention for the smudging. This could be a prayer, affirmation, or specific request, such as, "I cleanse the space of all negative energies and entities." You should then ensure that windows and doors are open to allow the negative energy to leave the space. And that's where this woman may have gone wrong. It doesn't appear that any windows are open in the home, although maybe they are off-screen. Moreover, the route of your saging matters as well. You should begin at the entrance of your space, moving slowly through each room, waving the sage bundle in a circular motion, and paying special attention to corners, doorways, windows, and any areas that feel heavy or have had recent paranormal activity. Using a feather or your hand, you should direct the smoke into the areas that need cleansing. Make sure the smoke reaches all parts of the space, including high and low areas. And as you burn the sage, you should focus on your intention, reciting a chant or prayer of protection. After you've completed your saging, windows and doors should be left open for a while to allow the smoke and any negative energy to disperse. While this saging actually might have trapped the entities in, the next might be successful. Judging by the continued paranormal activity, Smug Puppy should probably try again. Number 41. Mysterious Visitor. A mysterious visitor attended church, and its appearance is unsettling. TikToker Anelli RG shares this footage of the congregation. According to the OP, no one in the congregation saw this particular figure present. While some in the comments are saying it's just a bald guy with sunglasses on, others suggest that Lord Voldemort is in attendance. TikToker Mago has another theory. They write, "There are like elastic masks for people who have suffered burns on their face." But the OP dismisses this theory, writing, "No one saw any sick person, much less someone with a mask or glasses." The OP adds that the priest said that it was the sacristan who died years ago, and that she appears like a spirit. He said she cannot rest in peace. A sacristan is a person that helps prepare the Eucharist for Mass in the Catholic Church. So, is this really the spirit of a former sacristan of the church? Or is it a demon? God only knows. Number 40. Lucifer. A group of friends had an eerie encounter at one of their houses and captured what they believe is a ghost. Redditor ActiveAlfalfa9528 and their friend were using a popular paid app for communicating with spirits, often featured by YouTubers. While using it, they received unsettling messages like, "He likes to hurt people," "Lucifer," and "I'm going to touch you." As the messages grew more sinister, they began feeling touches and scratches, while the dog started to bark and growl at seemingly nothing. At this point, you can hear a voice in the background, though the OP says they were home alone. It sounds like a scream, but perhaps it's coming from outside. Harder to explain is this dog's behavior. The OP says they have pictures of scratch marks and a photo of a closet with a clear face and fingers visible. They share this evidence in another post. These scratches look aggressive. One friend was the primary target of the ordeal. Her hair was yanked, her back was scratched, and she nearly blacked out from an intense headache while in the haunted room. The cause of all this may be the unseen force that was attacking them. Do you see a face? Many in the comments do, but others suggest it's nothing at all. Redditor Myelofibrosis Me writes, "Personally, I don't see much here, except some pareidolia." The photo isn't clear enough to determine either way, but because it's blurry and seems blotchy, that's why I'm coming to the conclusion I have. Although it may simply be that, pareidolia, that doesn't explain the dog's strange reaction or the noise heard in the video. The friend sought advice from others who recommended they use sage for cleansing. The spirit repeatedly conveyed messages like "the man hurts people," and even mentioned a thumbscrew, an old European device. In a bizarre twist, according to the OP, both of the friend's thumbs locked in place after the thumbscrew was mentioned. Is this a soul? Or is it the... Number 39. Face in the sky. Something is watching you from above. TikToker Hidden on Google Earth zoomed in and discovered this creepy find on Google Earth. The very round face is bizarre looking. It doesn't appear to be an odd cloud formation. Instead, the spherical nature of the face has some thinking it may be a daytime moon. Seeing the moon during the daytime is common and occurs based on the moon's orbit and the Earth's rotation. The moon orbits the Earth and goes through different phases. Depending on its position relative to the Earth and the Sun, the moon can be visible during the day. The visibility of the moon is also determined by the moon's phases, from new moon to full moon. During the first and last quarters of the lunar cycle, the moon is often visible during daylight hours. Moreover, the moon is bright enough to be seen during the day and reflects sunlight, making it highly visible. Although the sun is much brighter, the moon's light is sufficient to be noticed against the blue sky, especially when it is high above the horizon and the sky is clear. Could the face we're seeing in this sphere be the man in the moon? This popular concept refers to the visual patterns of the moon's surface that to many observers resemble the face of a human. These patterns are formed by the arrangement of lunar maria, which are the dark plains formed by ancient volcanic eruptions. They create the eyes and mouth. The highlands are lighter areas that provide contrast and help form the outline of the face. The human brain is wired to recognize patterns, especially faces, a phenomenon known as pareidolia. The man in the moon is a classic example of this, where random features are interpreted as a familiar shape due to our psychological predisposition. If you look at other images of the man in the moon face, it looks very similar to this. So, while some would like to believe there's some ominous entity peering down from the sky, this one could very well be explained. Number 38. Bell-shaped craft. Another unusually shaped flying object makes an appearance over Colombia. Redditor Boone Thorne shares this zoomed-in footage, which was captured from an airplane on October 10th, 2023. The saucer zooms steadily alongside them, outpacing the plane.
En la TAM nos encanta ser parte de sus celebraciones, por eso queremos felicitar a una princesa muy especial llamada Ana Sofía, quien se encuentra hoy cumpliendo años. Te deseamos muchas bendiciones y que sea...
Some in the comments believe that it's not extraterrestrial, but rather man-made.
En la TAM nos encanta ser parte de sus celebraciones, por eso queremos felicitar a una princesa muy especial llamada Ana Sofía, quien se encuentra hoy cumpliendo años. Te deseamos muchas bendiciones y que sea...
Redditor People's Dope thinks it's US tech. writing, "Lightweight solar-powered floating object, the sky equivalent of a sea buoy, essentially low-altitude spy satellites." But RD in Berlin suggests that it looks like the gimbal UAP. The gimbal UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomena, is one of the most well-known and widely discussed pieces of UAP evidence. The footage was captured by US Navy pilots in 2015 and released to the public in 2017. It shows a peculiar object flying through the sky with extraordinary agility and speed. Named gimbal due to the distinctive rotation movement seen in the video, this UAP has sparked significant interest and debate among scientists, military experts, and extraterrestrial enthusiasts. Recorded using the Advanced Targeting Forward-Looking Infrared AT FLIR system on a Navy FA-18 Super Hornet, the footage shows a white, elongated object moving rapidly against the wind, rotating in midair, and performing maneuvers that seem to defy the capabilities of known aircraft. The pilot's audible reactions of surprise illustrate the unusual nature of the encounter. What sets the gimbal UAP apart is not only its strange behavior, but also the official acknowledgement by the US Department of Defense, which confirmed the authenticity of the video. Is this yet another gimbal?
Sofía, quien se encuentra hoy cumpliendo años. Te deseamos muchas bendiciones y que sea...
It could be. But the real question is, what is a gimbal anyway? Number 37. Theater Ghost. This spirit deserves a standing ovation. TikToker La 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 Lacey shares footage from a 2007 production of Beauty and the Beast. In the footage, a mysterious cameo is made by a theater ghost named Shannon. Watch closely. This is a video of a video. The shouts you heard in the other clip weren't during the actual performance. They were from viewers watching the video. The OP said no one noticed the figure during the actual performance. Some are saying it's the real Phantom of the Opera. Others think it's just an effect for the beast's transformation. But another clip shows the footage again, without the pause in the video or the crowd's reaction. The OP explains what's going on. The figure is floating 8 feet in the air. According to the OP, she appeared for a bit and then seemed to exit stage right. While many are in awe of this phantom, Stitch and Magpie thinks it's nothing at all. They write, "It is the fog machine output in the strobe light and your mind trying to make sense of the shapes. Look up matrixing." Like the concept of pareidolia, matrixing is a common explanation for why people might see ghostly faces or figures in photos or videos where there are none. For instance, when a strobe light is used in a dark environment, the brief and rapid flashes can create unusual patterns of light and shadow. These patterns can trick the brain into seeing shapes that resemble human figures or faces. Video taken with a flash in a dark room might show light and shadow patterns that look like a face or figure, but upon closer inspection, it turns out to be an arrangement of objects and lighting. While that is often a good theory, in this case, it seems like a stretch. This looks like a legit figure hanging in the theater's rafters. The OP also shares some screenshots of Shannon, which just solidified TikTokers' insistence that this is the real deal. Most in the comments are calling for story time. They need the ghost lore. And so do we. Number 36. Ghost story. This ghost story is true. TikToker Brenna even has video footage to back it up. She explains her experience in this clip.
They would both hear voices when their co-teacher hadn't showed up yet, or the cleaner would go downstairs and all the toys would be arranged in a circle, and the kids would all say really creepy Like, they'd say, like, there's a really, like, mean guy in, like, the tunnel.
After setting the stage, you just know something terrifying is going to happen in this creepy basement. Brenna explains that when the pandemic hit, the daycare closed down, but the owners installed cameras just to ensure there were no break-ins. And this is what those cameras captured. Something is playing around down in this basement daycare. And it's bouncing all over the room. The OP swears on her life that this is real, and it does look believable. Is this the bad man that the daycare's children saw in the dark corners of the basement? Some in the comments say they hear heavy breathing. Others think there's fishing line involved, but many are sure it's a poltergeist. The OP says the basement used to be a speakeasy casino back in the day, so this could explain the mysterious bad man, and it seems he's still playing around. Number 35. The Haunting. TikToker Iggy Julians is dealing with a very powerful poltergeist in his home. This series of paranormal events unfolds inside the couple's four walls. While not all of the episodes are as loud and volatile as the first, even the quieter ones are deeply disturbing, like this unexpected crying.
Siapa? Sang?
No one is there. And later, as he's monitoring his wife while she sleeps, this happens.
Astagfirullahaladzim. Astagfirullah. Ini jam berapa sih? Ding, dalam keadaan nyala ya.
Even more horrifying is what appears on his monitor.
Ya Allah.
A girl with long dark hair is standing over his wife, watching her sleep. Here it is on the security footage. And after the appearance, this happens.
Apa tuh? Sayang? Woi, astagfirullahaladzim. Astagfirullahaladzim.
Did you see her? She appears in the room to the left, right here. And the security camera may have also captured a glimpse of her hair at the end of the clip. Many in the comments are saying this is the Kuntilanak, particularly because of this image. Also going by the names Pontianak and Matianak, The kuntilanak is a ghostly figure of Malaysian and Indonesian folklore, typically depicted as a pale, beautiful woman with long black hair and a white dress, often stained with blood. She's believed to be the restless spirit of a woman who died during childbirth, unable to find peace and harboring vengeance. Maternal mortality is a historical issue in many parts of Southeast Asia, so her legend serves as a reminder of the dangers of childbirth and the tragic fate that befell many women in the past. According to legend, the kuntilanak is known for her eerie, high-pitched laughter, which signals her proximity. She's said to dig her sharp nails into men's stomachs and feed on them, reflecting the consequences of mistreatment or abandonment of pregnant women. Could this be the kuntilanak? If so, why is she targeting this couple? It's hard to say, but they should take this warning as their cue to leave. Number 34. Strange lights in the sky. You never know what's watching from above. Redditor Purple Starshade says they're still a little shook after filming whatever this is in the sky over Cochranville, Pennsylvania. Many in the comments agree that this light is bizarre. The OP shares more context in the thread, writing, "I looked up to the sky and saw this light making circles in the sky, with flares of other lights coming off of it and dispersing."
Can't see it too well, but there's stuff coming off of this light and surrounding it, circling it.
Some in the comments say they've seen similar things and believe the lights could be extraterrestrial. Others think they can be explained. Tops Not Lobbler writes, "There's a possibility it's an RC plane with sparklers attached to it because it flies just like someone would fly an RC plane." Since July 4th is approaching in the US, some believe it might be pyrotechnics. But being that the lights are sustained for so long, this doesn't scream fireworks to most. What do you think this could be? Number 33. The attachment. After buying a cursed doll, TikToker Daily UTLRPD shares footage of the doll's new owner documenting paranormal activity in the storage unit where the doll is kept. Here is the doll in question. Captured on camera, the activity tied to this cursed doll is leaving viewers chilled. The OP says that security guards at the storage facility showed him footage of strange noises coming from his unit. A camera inside the unit captured the doll sitting and then nearly standing up. Many in the comments think the doll has a demonic attachment. TikToker It's Queen Natty writes, "These things like to attach themselves to objects. I would definitely make sure you never bring that in your home." Others are wondering where the loud noise the security guard supposedly heard came from, considering the doll doesn't make a sound in this clip. But maybe that sound was from it falling back in place at this point. Without further evidence of activity, many viewers believe this has been staged. But if this is the real deal, it's probably best to burn the entire storage unit to the ground. Number 32. How did you find me? This is probably one of the creepiest disembodied voice captures you'll ever hear. TikToker Noni1993 shares footage of a childish voice whispering this. The voice is crystal clear, and the kid's reaction is undoubtedly genuine. He screams bloody murder and sprints upstairs. In a second clip, the OP says they spoke to their neighbor, and the neighbor claimed she's witnessed this spirit too. She says it's the spirit of her friend who died at 70 in this house from a heart attack. But her son discovered that wasn't the only death here.
He had came and he's like, Mommy, I went to school today and I searched up the house and a girl died in the house also. And I'm like, when I move, I don't look up the house history. I look up.
In a twist of fate, one of her clients used to own the house as well. And through the client's niece, the OP learned that strange things used to happen when they lived there too.
My client niece just starts freaking out. She's like, no, not this again. When we used to live there, my son used to be bad. He used to do a bunch of crazy things at home, at school. Like, he was just out of control. And
as it turns out, these things only started happening after they moved a dollhouse in the home. So now, she's thinking there's an attachment acting out.
Bro, I really think that spirit came off that dollhouse. I think when we moved that dollhouse upstairs and sat in the kitchen for a little bit and took it out and put it on the porch, that the spirit was on that dollhouse because the kids did not want to touch that dollhouse. Like, it was something.
Her client agrees with her and believes the dollhouse being moved may be what has caused the spirit to interact.
And then my client said the same thing. She's like, yeah, I think you guys are right. Like, maybe something happened with the kid in the dollhouse and she played with it all the time. She passed away in the house and you guys probably like freed her spirit.
Some in the comments think it's an evil entity. Others suggest the girl died in or behind the dollhouse, and her last words were, "How did you find me?" Whatever's going on here, there's got to be a dark story behind it. And hopefully, this TikToker will get to the bottom of this mystery. Number 31. Shadow Figure. Redditor NarrowAD6513 woke up to a Ring camera notification in the morning. Their doorbell cam captured something strange on the porch at night. A quick-moving figure that's hard to explain and soon disappears. The OP says it can't be their dogs, because they were inside at this time. They write, "The thing that concerns me about it is that I cannot see the figure through the windshield of the bike after it moves. I've been running different possibilities through my head, but whatever this is, it's suspicious." Many in the comments think it's an actual person, which they say is even creepier than something paranormal. But others believe it could be discarded debris. Redditor Jib Reddit suggests it's a garbage bag blowing in the wind. It does look windy, so that's a possibility. Psycho Sloth says it looks like a shadow from something inside cast through a window, but others disagree, saying the object is solid and casts its own shadow. Still others think it's edited in. Miserable Lawyer 233 writes, "It looks artificial, almost like it was created in After Effects. The motion appears linear and uneased, similar to what you might see in basic animation software." Paranormal suggestions in the comments include a chupacabra, a duende, or a wendigo. Although it could be any of these, as the figure is completely in shadow, a duende or chupacabra seems the most likely due to the shadow's height. Often described as small, humanoid beings, duendes are akin to elves, goblins, or gnomes. Their characteristics and behaviors can vary widely by culture, ranging from mischievous and playful to malevolent and dangerous. The chupacabra, a creature of modern folklore, is said to be a blood-sucking beast that preys on livestock, particularly goats. Meaning goat sucker in Spanish, Chupacabra sightings were first reported in Puerto Rico in the mid-90s. Witnesses described the creature as small and reptilian with spines running down its back, large red eyes, and fangs. Over time, descriptions have varied, with some accounts depicting it as more canine or kangaroo-like, often hairless with a pronounced skeletal structure. Could it really be a chupacabra? Could it be a duende? Or could it be a would-be burglar? This is a tricky one. What do you think? Number 30. The Figure. After regularly hearing strange noises in their neighbor's house, Redditor Specialist Chard229 used an SLS camera there to investigate, and they captured this. To give some context to this clip, it might be helpful to know what an SLS camera actually does. SLS, or Structured Light Sensor, cameras are specialized devices used in paranormal investigations to detect anomalies that are believed by some to indicate the presence of spirits or other entities. These cameras work by projecting a grid of infrared light onto an area and measuring the distortions in the pattern. The SLS camera then uses this data to create a 3D representation of the environment, highlighting any unusual shapes or movements. One of the primary reasons SLS cameras have become popular in paranormal investigations is their ability to detect human-like figures that are not visible to the naked eye. When a figure is detected, the camera's software translates it into a stick figure representation on screen, allowing investigators to see if there are any forms moving or standing in the space that shouldn't be there. It, in theory, provides visual confirmation of unseen entities. Some skeptics argue that the figures detected by SLS cameras can be the result of false positives or misinterpretations of ordinary objects. In fact, many in the comments suggest that what the OP has captured is nothing but the camera trying to connect objects to human form, and as Redditor Major Karina put it, turn household junk into something. In this case, it may think the plant in the corner is a person. Still Marie76 writes, it's the electronic version of pareidolia. Still, many paranormal investigators view the technology as a valuable tool, and so do some Redditors it seems. Many think it's a ghost dancing. With Itanium Online writing, someone drop a beat quick. What do you think? Is this a ghost dance party? Or just electronic pareidolia? Number 29. Forest Person. A game camera in Washington state captured something unnerving 1 mile deep in the forest on the Port Madison Indian Reservation. Redditor Jacob James 12 shares the images. The first was taken with their game camera. The second was with their cell phone. The second reveals what the area looks like in the daytime. There's no one there, and nothing that could be mistaken for the figure captured on the game cam. The OP explains, this is dense forest that could not be navigated without a good light source. I notified local police just because I assumed this person was not wanting to be there. I was never able to make sense of it. This also was not a trail. Redditor WoodNotPet89 shares both images, lightened and darkened respectively. Many in the comments are suggesting the figure looks like a Native American woman. This would make sense, as the area is an Indian reservation. But whether it's a human person or a ghost isn't as clear. Redditor Sippin' on Joy writes, in the few reservations I've been to, I know of some traditionalists who wear traditional garb and bow hunt. I can see this being one of those examples, considering they're holding what could be a bow in one of their hands. So, what do you think? Is this a living person or a ghost who haunts this reserve? Looks a bit ghostly to be a living human. Number 28. Open Door. Grand Theft Auto is not just for the living. TikToker Orchid Studio TX shares this footage captured at 1 a.m. of their husband's car, and an unexpected culprit is inside. Did a ghost just open the driver's side door? Take another look. The car remained open the rest of the night. The only potential non-paranormal explanation to this would be if this vehicle has an automatic door opening feature. But if this isn't paranormal, that would mean either the feature was triggered by someone accidentally, or on purpose, or the door opening mechanism is faulty. Either way is dangerous, and ultimately it probably led to this car's interior being soaked, as a storm broke out just a few minutes later, according to the OP. What do you think? Is there a ghost inside this vehicle, playing tricks, or are we not getting the full story? Number 27. Ghostly audio interference. Sometimes it's not what you see, but what you hear. The cameras at Redditor Legno5286's workplace have captured some alarming audio. Listen closely. Is this audio interference? That's what Reddit thinks. Nism suggests it's a kid and their dad over a baby monitor interfering with the camera. But the OP says the nearest house is over 100 feet away. Others respond that some baby monitors can stretch that far, or that it could be walkie-talkie interference. But at least one Redditor thinks it's a spirit. iSerioustrader writes, ran into a similar sounding spirit a couple of weeks back while on an early morning hunt with my crew. She was a loud one, and our sensors were going through the roof, but we didn't manage to catch her. While this probably is just earthly audio interference, perhaps it's tapping into the frequency of another dimension. Number 26. Mysterious flying object. This world is full of mysteries, but thanks to technology, many of them are now caught on camera. Redditor Wolf Creature writes that this footage was captured at their parents' house on the Nest camera, and it appeared again about a week later, moving from the left as if leaving the house. They have no idea what it could be, and would greatly appreciate any theories. Take a look. Redditor Purple Intransitivity says it looks like a flying amoeba. Others, like Robert Xavier IV, are saying it's the ghost of an onion ring, while many more think it's nothing but a bug. But as Reddit Speedbot shares a frame-by-frame capture of this strange anomaly, Redditors are noticing other details that might explain this. Sane Photon writes, the car headlight turning in the background is perfectly synced with the movement of the abnormality. It's also vaguely shaped like a headlight, the static in the middle being dirt or smudges on the headlight. The Redditor also says it could be the light bouncing off other surfaces, for instance, a reflective street sign. While this Redditor is likely correct, Most viewers would probably prefer this was the ghost of an onion ring. Just imagine its backstory. Number 25. Door opens. This ghost is setting off alarm bells. Redditor Pride Commercial 5847's boyfriend has been experiencing paranormal activity in his home. Their boyfriend bought the house from his grandpa. Both he and his grandpa noticed a presence in the house, but not anything negative. The video, captured by a Ring camera inside, shows the door opening and closing while no one is home. Take a look. The couple was out of town at the time, and no one was home when the door opened and shut, setting off the alarm. They say it can't be a draft, as this door is heavy and requires force to push open. You also have to turn the doorknob to get it to open. The Redditor is moving in with their boyfriend next week and needs some answers, and Redditors have them in spades. Some in the comments think the door wasn't fully latched and maybe the AC kicked on, prompting enough pressure to open the door. The OP dismisses this in the comments, saying it was fully latched and is heavy. One compelling theory involves a hydraulic door assist. Redditor Dietitian Mama writes, "I was watching this video with my husband and he noticed immediately the hydraulic door assist at the top of the door. That is not a spring. It is hydraulic and can open or close slightly to equalize pressure. The door was not closed all the way, and you can tell because the knob doesn't turn." They add that you can visit any public building that has one of these door assists to see how it works. They say if you open the door fully and then attempt to close it forcefully, you'll see that it not only slows the door's closing, but may also push the door open a bit more before finally closing, as the mechanism balances the pressure. They suggest to consider removing the hydraulic door assists so that this doesn't happen again. However, there are likely reasons for installing it that might outweigh its removal. While this seems like a good theory, many in the comments disagree and say that a hydraulic door assist doesn't explain why the door opened suddenly in the first place, or why it would slam shut. Usually this mechanism would slow the door closing. Apart from these counter-arguments, there's the fact that this isn't the only freaky incident that's occurred in the home. The OP shares in the comments that while visiting their boyfriend's house for the first time, he mentioned that years ago, he heard a voice coming through the house intercom, which hasn't worked since his grandpa bought the place. During that visit, he also said he saw something move from the bathroom to the main area of the bedroom while he was showering. A couple of days later, the OP was in the bathroom and thought they heard their boyfriend standing outside, speaking to them. They responded out loud that they'd be right out. When they opened the door, he wasn't there. Initially, they thought he was pranking them because he knows they scare easily. However, when they went to the room where he was brushing his teeth and said he hadn't been outside their door. So, what do you think? Can this door opening be explained? Or when one door closes, does another open by the force of a ghost? Number 24. Cemetery figure. As lightning lit up the haunted Osab Cemetery, Redditor Alarming List 1988 snapped this picture. And what they and their friends spotted in it is spine-chilling. The OP writes, "If you zoom into the black tree line, you can see a decrepit figure. Any thoughts on what this might be?" Redditor Datura writes, "Is that Voldemort? It does look a bit like the Dark Lord, and we all know he has a thing for cemeteries." Some in the comments say it's a great capture, but they should return in the daytime and try to recreate it. Others think it can be explained after dissecting the photo. Raw Material 11 writes, In the first picture, look at the tombstone to the left of the figure. It has the same profile, and it also appears to be covered in a little bit of foliage. I suspect it is just another tombstone. Many Redditors agree with this. While it could very well be another tombstone, or even a graveyard statue, the stories about Osab Cemetery give some pause, with some believing it's a portal to a dimension beyond. Located in Minooka, Illinois, and established in the mid-19th century, this rural cemetery's history is marked by stories of ghostly apparitions that have been passed down through the generations. One of the most persistent legends involves sightings of a spectral girl ghost, often described as wandering amongst the tombstones, playing tricks on visitors. Another chilling tale tells of mysterious lights flickering among the graves at night. These orbs of light, often seen darting through the cemetery, are said to be the restless spirits of those buried there, unable to find their way to the afterlife. So although this photograph warrants further investigation during daylight hours, there is enough evidence already that this place is haunted, and that leads some to believe that this could be the trickster ghost girl. Number 23. Robed figure. If you get an alert on your doorbell cam, it's sometimes best not to look. Redditor Friggin' Bird shares this image captured by their camera last winter, and it's deeply unsettling. From far away, the figure doesn't look too alarming, but a closer look reveals this. The OP shares more context in the comments. They share that the image was captured at around 3 a.m. in January during an extreme cold snap, with temperatures ranging from -10 to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. They were asleep at the time and didn't hear anything unusual, and to their knowledge, this was the only encounter. The OP says the figure also didn't move, but did sway slightly. They said the camera then cut to the figure being up close, where it remained, standing still, for 20 minutes. The property is situated in the northern US, in a very small town surrounded by mountains, with a population of fewer than 250 people. While the area doesn't have a significant reputation for paranormal activity, there is a vast national forest nearby, which can be quite eerie. Initially, they thought it might be some kid in a Yeti costume, but there were no tracks found, and in the closer picture, the figure would have had to be at least 7 feet tall to appear as it did in the frame. They considered this explanation because the land's previous owner, an elderly man, frequently complained about teenagers causing trouble at night. They had only one other strange experience in the area. While driving through the forest with friends at night, they all suddenly felt a strong, synchronized sense of danger and a need to leave immediately. They weren't sure what caused this feeling, but wondered if it could be something to do with the religious compound near where they were driving. Some in the comments are saying the figure is bizarre and looks like the face of a chicken wrapped in a blanket. Sure, it could just be teens playing around, but that seems unlikely in sub-zero temperatures. That unlikelihood is why this scary video is sweeping the internet. Number 22. Security guard ghost. While working security one night, this guard appears to be talking to someone, but no one is there. TikToker The Paraworld shares this footage of the man having a whole conversation with what he told his bosses was a new employee. The shadow work is particularly telling. Pay close attention to the shadows on the ground. To some in the comments, this is a wake-up call. TikToker Honey American writes, "It makes me wonder if there are some people we've interacted with in life without realizing we're talking to a spirit. Others are bemoaning the ghost's luck." User 8793662036 writes, "A ghost got a job, and I can't even get a call back from an interview. Although there really isn't an answer to this one. Everyone in the comments can agree that they got chills watching this. In fact, they left this video shaking in their boots. Number 21. Ghost Cat. What is happening in this picture? Redditor For Sincerely Your Ghost is wondering what the hive mind's thoughts are on this photo of their roommate and her cat. Many in the comments initially assumed that the Redditor is referring to the cryptid-looking figure hunching over, but that's just the roommate in question. What they're actually referring to is this: the strange ghost shadow near the cat and in the background. Redditor Know Nothing 3272 writes, "Almost looks like Ghost Cat is going to the ghostly figure sitting down. That's pretty crazy." Ambersam 0209 then adds to the theory, writing, "Maybe there is a cat owner and his cat in spirit form, who guide all lost cats to their owners." Many in the comments would love to believe that theory, but there's at least one Redditor who knows too much about cameras to believe it. Varbav Sixler writes, "Modern phone cameras use software magic to capture these night shots. Instead of taking one 5-second exposure, it takes 10 half-second exposures, for example. Then it tries to align the photos, your hands move during the shot, and stack them according to some algorithm. Sometimes ghosting can occur." While this may be the case, the Amityville horror house lurking in the background certainly adds to the magnetic ghostliness of this shot. And despite being logically explained, this image is bound to keep you up at night. Number 20. Please Come Back. You might have to jack up the volume or wear headphones for this one. TikToker Katiana Ortiz shares footage at a bridge notorious for being the site where some choose to take their own lives. And while they're at 3 a.m., they hear something. Did you hear it too? The OP is hearing a whisper saying, "Please come back." But many in the comments are hearing, "Please go back." TikToker Definitely Not a Spy writes, "It sounds like there's 30 people whispering to you at once." This is Pasadena Bridge in California. Since the Great Depression, it's been the site of numerous deaths. The economic hardship of the era led many to the bridge as a final resort. According to some estimates, over 150 individuals have taken their lives from the bridge since it was built. In 1937, a barrier was installed, but it proved ineffective. Over the years, the city has installed signs with crisis hotline numbers and conducted regular patrols. In 1993, a significant renovation project included the addition of a prevention barrier designed to deter individuals from jumping. Despite these efforts, the bridge continues to attract those in distress. The bridge's haunted history underscores the enduring struggle many face with mental health issues and the community's ongoing efforts to provide support and prevent further loss. Are these eerie whispers those from beyond, urging people not to jump? That may be, but they are definitely words exposing our darkest fears. Number 19. Bar Ghost. A glass is flung from a shelf. Would your first reaction be ghost, or is there a scientific explanation? Redditor T Always Helps shares this footage, saying it's happened again. Some in the comments think that because it fell right after she passed, the woman's footsteps might have sent it over the edge. Redditor Mostly Harmless 88 writes, "It looks like a wine glass, long stem, which could easily have fallen from the vibration of her walking past. Is this just a matter of a wet surface, the vibration of her step, and the precarious way the glass was perched on the edge of the shelf?" While most in the comments agree that this is the likeliest cause, there are some paranormal theories. Marmalade Sardine argues that this can't be explained by vibrations alone, as none of the other glasses moved at all. They also shared that they used to work as a barmaid in various towns across the UK, noting that pubs seemed more prone to paranormal activity. One village pub that they worked at had an entity that liked to pinch the barmaids, while the city center pub was home to the resident ghost of a landlord who died falling down the cellar steps, causing staff to avoid the cellar. Marmalade Sardine speculates that since pubs and theaters were the main forms of entertainment for centuries, it's understandable why many patrons appear never to have left. So, what do you think? Are you with Marmalade Sardine on this one? Or is this a nothing burger? Number 18. Bigfoot sighting. Captured in Ontario, Canada, this Bigfoot sighting, shared by Redditor NoahDoggio6743, has some viewers perplexed. Keep your eyes peeled. After seeing this footage, Redditors are questioning everything. Mathisen notes that it doesn't make sense for a smart and elusive creature to stride out into a clearing with the motorboat nearby. But they do admit the suspect is unusually big. Marcel Marceau 7580 says that it reminds them of another Bigfoot sighting. They write, am I the only one that noticed immediately that the gait, the footsteps, the way its upper body slightly leans forward, and even the arm swing, all of that literally mirrors the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot. I instantly got chills as I noticed it. The Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot refers to a film that's one of the most well-known and controversial pieces of evidence in the ongoing debate over the legendary creature's existence. Filmed on October 20th, 1967, by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin in the Bluff Creek area of Northern California, this short piece of footage has fueled Bigfoot discussions for decades. The film shows a large, bipedal creature covered in dark fur walking along a creek bed. The creature, now commonly referred to as Patty, turns its head towards the camera, revealing a distinct, ape-like face before continuing its stride into the forest. Patterson and Gimlet were on a horseback expedition searching for Bigfoot when they encountered the creature and managed to capture it on their 16mm camera. Supporters of the film argue that the creature's movements, muscle definition, and proportions are too realistic to be a man in a costume, especially considering the limitations of special effects technology in the 1960s. They cite anatomical details, such as the visible muscle movements and the unique gait, as evidence of an unknown primate species. Skeptics, however, say that the film is a hoax, suggesting that it could easily have been staged with a person wearing an ape suit. They point to inconsistencies in the accounts of Patterson and Gimlin, and the lack of corroborating physical evidence as reasons to doubt the film's authenticity. Despite extensive analysis and debate, the Patterson-Gimlin film remains inconclusive. This capture is certainly reminiscent of Patty. Could it be her big-footed granddaughter? Number 17. Haunted restaurant. This restaurant's got ghosts in its food. Redditor Kimasabi shares haunting footage of a restaurant where they once worked. They explain that strange events often occurred there, with items inexplicably shooting off shelves and hitting the floor. Each time something was thrown, they felt a peculiar magnetic sensation. This video, recorded in 2015 or 2016, was captured from a phone directly off the computer screen, with no tampering involved.
Look at that motherfucker got bold.
What you're seeing is the ice vent cover suddenly shooting off and slamming into the table they're working on. This cover requires lifting and pulling to remove. The OP says the noise was incredibly loud, and the magnetic feeling was overwhelmingly strong. As soon as the manager arrived, they urgently requested, "Run back the camera now." They were convinced something otherworldly was at play and wanted no part of it. Here it is again. This isn't the only paranormal experience the OP has had here. On another occasion, while passing the walk-in cooler, they felt a forceful push. Not like a person's hands, but something else entirely. They stumbled, wondering what had just happened. Most in the comments believe the ice vent was simply not secured in place. But taken with the other paranormal incidents shared by the OP, others think this could be poltergeist activity. Without further proof, we won't know for sure. Number 16. Anesthesia activated. If you woke up from your anesthesia to this, you might think the good stuff hadn't worn off yet. Redditor Gravy Havoc shares this footage of a 365-pound anesthesia machine in Florida activating and moving all on its own. Some in the comments say the machine looks motorized, and this could simply be a mechanical failure rather than paranormal activity. Or, much worse, an attack by a hacker. Software engineering consultant Redditor Highlander198116 shares their expertise on the subject, writing, "One job I did was working on software that allowed doctors and nurses to remotely program therapies into home dialysis machines. I was constantly paranoid about the security. Not so much about people trying to hurt someone, but someone messing around not actually understanding the ramifications of their actions." Another expert in the comments, MattBrat2323, says that the anesthesia machine isn't what's moving, but rather a hydraulic shelf that other pieces of equipment are placed on. They say in their 18-year career in anesthesia, they've seen these shelves malfunction a number of times. Although some in the comments are still suggesting this is a ghost getting revenge or AI gone rogue, a malfunctioning mechanism seems more likely. But the idea of sentient AI is much more entertaining and terrifying. Number 15. Disappearing Act. A man walking along a roadside at night appears to disappear into thin air. Instagrammer Unanswered Universe shares footage of this inexplicable disappearing act, and it has some questioning everything. Instagrammers have numerous theories, including teleportation, a time portal, a cloaking suit, or that the figure is a ghost in a liminal space. But Instagrammer Starseed Minerals isn't sold. They write, "I think it's the crappy resolution because I can still see his shoes." This could very well be the case. When a camera captures an image at a low resolution, It lacks the detail and clarity of higher resolution images, often resulting in visual distortions. This can make objects or figures appear blurry, pixelated, or even seem to disappear altogether. Security cameras often operate at lower resolutions to save on storage space and bandwidth. When these cameras record footage, especially in low light or at a distance, the resulting images can be grainy and indistinct. A person or object moving quickly across the frame might appear to vanish because the camera can't capture enough detail to track their motion accurately. The figure may blend into the background, creating the illusion of disappearance. If you look closely, Starseed Minerals is right in that you can still see the figure's shoes, so that may be what's happening here. Could that be the case? Or are we witnessing a time traveler stepping into the future? Only the camera knows for sure. Number 14. In the corner. While messing around in their mother's room, Redditor Healthy Magician 895 captured something terrifying in a mirror's reflection. It was only later that they saw it. Their friend pointed it out at the corner of the door. The OP pleads, "Can someone explain this? I'm genuinely creeped out." The OP returned to the mirror and nothing was there. Redditor Dr. Go responds, "That is an odd position to be peeking into a room. I don't know what to say about this, but it's odd and creepy. Is there anything else that's strange that you may have noticed around the house?" The OP answers that they've lived in the house for about a year without encountering anything particularly strange. Occasionally, doors would open on their own when cracked, but they assumed it was just the wind. About a week prior to spotting this, they were in their mom's room when the bathroom door suddenly shut on its own. Feeling scared, they quickly left the room. Later, they were sitting in the living room with a friend when they heard a distant scream coming from their mom's room. They tried convincing themselves it was something outside, but it was 3 in the morning, and their neighborhood, populated by elderly residents, would be unlikely to have anyone outside at that hour. Additionally, they recalled seeing a shadow pass by the fridge, but dismissed it, thinking they might have been imagining things. Considering all this, the face sighting completely freaked them out, as it would anyone. Wisconsin agrees that they should be freaked out. They write, "Dude, I've seen photos just like this before. I believe they were genuine, and they always are peeking in from the corner of doors in such an unnatural position. Like it must be clinging to the wall looking in." Others agree and say it reminds them of this figure from a Travel Channel investigation. Many say they've even seen similar faces peering around door frames themselves. Another theory is that the mirror they're looking in is a portal. This idea of mirrors as portals to other dimensions is rooted in ancient folklore. Various cultures believed mirrors were gateways to the spiritual world. In Roman times, people covered mirrors during thunderstorms to prevent spirits from entering the home. In Chinese feng shui, mirrors are used strategically to alter energy flows, suggesting their power to influence more than just the physical environment. In modern lore, some believe that mirrors can trap spirits or allow entities from other dimensions to enter our world. This belief is often linked to the idea that mirrors can reflect the soul or capture one's essence, making them a conduit between realms. Reports of unsettling experiences, such as seeing faces that don't belong to anyone present or feeling watched, further fuel the belief in the supernatural properties of mirrors. So, is this peeker really there? Or is it reflected in another dimension? Either way, this is a new fear unlocked. Number 13. Mystery or moth. Is this a mysterious flitterer, or just your average moth? Redditor Sulandali wasn't at home when a notification came through on their camera app, showing something unusual. Wondering what it was, they immediately switched to a live view for several minutes, but saw nothing. But there was something. They share the footage of the mysterious object captured on security footage. With all windows closed and no pets in the house, the OP says there was nothing behind the camera that could have caused it. Many in the comments agree with the OP's assessment that it might be a moth up close. Others with a more paranormal leaning think it's a Mothman. This legendary creature from American folklore was first reported in the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, in the late 1960s. The humanoid figure with large, glowing red eyes and expansive wings is said to be between 6 and 7 feet tall, with a wingspan of up to 10 feet. Witnesses often report a sense of dread or fear accompanying sightings of the Mothman, which is sometimes described as flying at high speeds or hovering without flapping its wings. The legend began on November 12, 1966, when 5 men were digging a grave in Clendendon, West Virginia, and claimed to have seen a cryptid figure fly over their heads in the cemetery. Just days later, 2 young couples reported encountering a large, winged creature with glowing red eyes while out driving around an abandoned TNT plant near Point Pleasant. The creature allegedly followed their car, flying at high speeds and making high-pitched screeching noises. These sightings sparked a media frenzy and numerous other reports of the Mothman throughout the region. The most famous event associated with the creature occurred a year later, when the Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed, resulting in the deaths of 46 people. Some locals believe the Mothman sightings were an omen of impending doom, while most would like to think this is just a moth, roach, or a spider. The Mothman theory has some staying power. Number 12. Time-lapse shadow figure. While capturing a time-lapse of a 3D print overnight, Redditor Dr. What spotted something creepy in their living room. Take a look. Do you see what they're seeing? Some in the comments do. Many are saying it looks like a figure hunched over, or a shadow figure. Others think it's just a person walking by. The OP says everyone was asleep at the time, and their pets are small and in their cages. Some think it's not an animal, but a gnome. In that case, the OP needn't be scared. These small earthy beings are guardians of the Earth's treasures and are often portrayed as wise and benevolent, though reclusive, preferring the solitude of their underground homes. They have a distinctive appearance and demeanor. Standing about a foot or 2 tall, gnomes are characterized by their hunched-over backs, a feature that speaks to their ancient connection with the Earth. This posture was developed from centuries of living in and tending to subterranean environments and gives them a unique silhouette among mythical beings. This thing certainly looks hunched. While some are sold on the gnome theory, others think that the so-called figure is in step with the 3D printer, so it's probably just light shifting. It could even be the light from the TV. Redditor AP Cicada suggests it's pixelation due to changes in the light reflection because of the machine and TV simultaneously. ETA, the black shape moves identically to the 3D printed object as it brightens. After hearing both theories, what do you think it is? If it's a gnome, at least it's unlikely to be of any harm. Number 11. La Llorona. La Llorona strikes again in this chilling footage. This video was submitted to YouTuber Panic World Chief Bala by their subscriber Martin N. It was captured in the state of Puebla in Mexico. At first, the cry sounds like it could be a wolf or some other animal, but with other dogs barking in the background, that seems less like the case. Many believers in the comments say this is real and share their own stories of encounters with La Llorona. YouTuber Hector Garduno 8761 shares that when he was a child, he would visit his grandmother's house in Leon, Guanajuato, where he once heard her. He recalled his grandmother urging everyone to lie down on the floor in the living room. As the candlelight flickered, she led them in prayer. So many in the comments say they have heard the same sorrowful lament of La Llorona, and they agree that this is authentic. The so-called weeping woman is a thing of legend in Latin America. Though her tale varies across regions, the core story is that La Llorona was once a beautiful woman named Maria who lived in a small village and fell deeply in love with a wealthy man with whom she had 2 children. However, their marriage eventually deteriorated due to her husband's infidelity. In a fit of rage, Maria drowned her children in a river, a decision she immediately regretted. Overcome with guilt and grief, she wandered along the riverbank, wailing and searching for her lost children until she eventually succumbed to her sorrow and died. As a result, her spirit is condemned to wander the earth, eternally searching for her children. La Llorona is often described as a ghostly figure dressed in a white gown with long flowing black hair. Her mournful cries can be heard near bodies of water, and her presence is considered an omen of death or misfortune. What sort of death or misfortune awaits this poor soul? Only La Llorona can say. Number 10. Insomnia. This guy will never get a good night's sleep. TikToker Leon Rito is suffering from insomnia due to this disturbance in the night. When he goes to investigate, he finds this. As he's checking out the shower, more activity occurs beside him. And when he chases after it, he captures the creepiest shadow person ever on camera. According to TikToker Sergio DC, the proof that this video is authentic is in the orbs. They write, "The number of orbs that pass, that means that there are spirits from the lower astral." In paranormal lore, the lower astral is a dense, lower vibrational region of the astral plane characterized by negative emotions and energies. It is believed to be inhabited by earthbound spirits, lost souls, and malevolent entities. These entities are often thought to be attracted to the lower astral due to unresolved emotions, attachments to the physical world, or other unfinished business. Spiritual traditions view it as a place for karmic purging and transformation, with guidance available from higher spiritual beings. Is this shadow person a lower astral entity? Its negative vibrations are convincing viewers that it must be. Number 9. Energy moving. Energy moving. Is there an energy moving through the room? If so, is it dark energy? Redditor LeftStorm6192 is asking Reddit users what they think of this clip. See for yourself. Redditors have theories as to what this strange energy might be. Redditor AP Cicada writes, "It's possibly airflow. These things need to be ruled out, as it's a small fluctuation in temperature that moves through the room, as temperature gradients do." But some in the comments dismiss this suggestion of airflow, pointing out that this is not actually a thermal imaging camera, but rather a digital filter. In fact, they're wrong. The OP specifies further that they turn the brightness and exposure up on their phone's camera and turn down saturation. So, what are we looking at? A bug? The spirit of an animal? Weird Instruction 74 doesn't know what it is, but does know what it's not. They write, "That's definitely not an animal, or OP's shadow. A shadow would lay flat to the surrounding matter, would start from the bottom up, unless it were floating, and there's no animal to project a shadow. So, what is it? If it's a spirit orb, it looks radioactive." Number 8. Rocking chair. Who is sitting in this rocking chair? TikToker The Paraworld says their daughter's back patio is home to a ghost, and their dog seems to agree.
But then it stops on its own when I come outside. Let's see if I could get it on camera. There's like no wind. That's I know, Blue, someone's there, huh? I know it, I know.
Many in the comments think the dog is sensing a spirit there. TikToker Charbar notes that there's a hiss right before the dog is startled. Listen closely. The dog does seem to be reacting to a strange hiss.
That's
Others are wondering if the little rocking chair is an antique. They believe there could be an attachment.
Sick 'em, Blue. Creepy, right? Katie, I guess I do have a ghost, bitch. Get him, Blue. I'm shutting the door.
Whatever is there, this dog is on guard, and he's willing to protect his human. Number 7. Fire levitation. As a fire blazes and smoke rises, a figure atop of a roof appears to levitate. TikToker Awesome14 shares this footage, wondering if anyone can interpret this. The figure appears to shift from left to right with ease, and then rises into the black sky. TikToker Abba Amar believes they have an explanation. They write, "That's the shadow of the area below that's hit by the car's headlights. The shadow appears because there's smoke above. That's one thought, but seems unlikely. There are many people gathered around. If that was the case, wouldn't the headlights cast multiple shadows?" Others in the comments believe it might be a mythical figure. Status Saver writes, "I saw the figure of Nai Blorong." Nai Blorong is an enigmatic figure in Indonesian folklore, depicted as a powerful and alluring half-woman, half-serpent entity who resides in the depths of the ocean. According to legend, Nai Blorong is closely associated with the mythical queen of the Southern Sea, Nai Roro Kidul. Some stories suggest that Nai Blorong is either a servant or an emissary of Nai Roro Kidul, tasked with maintaining balance and enforcing the queen's will on land and sea. Nai Blorong is often portrayed as a figure who can grant wealth and power to those who seek her favor. However, these gifts come at a significant cost. Individuals who enter into pacts with her may receive immense riches, but they often have to offer something equally precious in return, such as their soul or the souls of their descendants. Think Ursula from The Little Mermaid. The allure of instant wealth and power has led many to seek her out, but the consequences are usually dire, leading to stories of ruin and despair. Is this Llorona casting ruin and despair on someone who dared enter into a pact with her? Some believe so, and if that's the case, everyone watching should avoid this figure's lure. Number 6. True story. In response to a TikToker asking for completely unbelievable but entirely true ghost stories, TikToker Lasagna Diaz 505 shares this gem.
A couple weeks ago, and it's the first birthday that my dad has not been here for, and that was really hard, but it is what it is. And my mom got me a little Build-A-Bear with his voice in it. Like the little clicky thing was his voice.
Even better, they have video footage of the incident, and it's a head scratcher.
That has not worked. That has not worked.
Her dad was a former firefighter, and according to the girls, this truck didn't work. Many in the comments think this is the TikToker's dad in spirit, wishing her a happy birthday, or simply letting her know that he's still watching over her. Is her dad now her guardian angel?
Hope you're doing well. I'm feeling much better now, so whenever you can, just come visit me, okay? Okay.
That could be the case, and who better to guard her? Number 5. Tattoo Ghost. This tattoo parlor is haunted. Redditor TaxImpressive6485 shares footage of a ghost disrupting a tattoo session. While that table is on wheels and could possibly have just been nudged unexpectedly, this next bit suggests otherwise.
For the computer time, you just moved. What do you mean?
Some in the comments are doubting the legitimacy of this video due to the cut in the middle. But maybe the downtime was just cut out of the clip for efficiency. Others note that the customer looks toward the chair before it even moves.
What do you mean?
But others are saying she looks forward again, rather than towards the chair. Redditor 247GT refutes naysayers in the comments, writing, "Oftentimes you can see something from the corner of your eye that catches your attention, but when you look directly at it, there's nothing visible. Pretty normal situation." Horitaku shares their own experience as a tattoo artist, writing, "Shop ghosts are a total cliche within the industry. Almost every shop I've worked or guest spotted at had weird stories. We used to have a hat-wearing ghost who'd pace the hall between my room and the piercing room every night." This Redditor is right that tattoo shops do have a proclivity for hauntings. Some believe that's because people often experience strong emotions there. The pain of the needle, the excitement of getting a new tattoo, or the memorialization of a loved one. All of these intense feelings culminate in energy conducive to paranormal activity. Another reason that spirits tend to gravitate towards tattoo shops is that they're often located in older buildings with rich histories. These buildings may have housed various businesses or even residences before becoming tattoo parlors, accumulating layers of energy over the years. The spirits of past occupants linger. One such example is Convent Tattoo and Body Piercing in New Jersey. A paranormal crew investigated there, and while in the basement, heard voices from nowhere. So, while some are quick to dismiss this video as staged, tattoo parlors often do draw these energies. It wouldn't come as a surprise that this is yet another of those cases. Number 4. Cemetery Ghost Debunked. In our list, top 15 scary videos that are sweeping the internet, We covered Redditor Alarming List 1988's creepy cemetery photo captured in a lightning storm. The photo captured what appeared to be a ghostly figure in the darkness. But as prompted by many in the comments, the OP returned to Osab Cemetery in the daylight to see if they could debunk the mystery. And they discovered this: a tombstone with some plant growth around it. Although many in the previous post comments were vindicated, others thanked the OP for updating. Redditor Ugly Zombie writes, "Refreshing to see someone debunk themselves and follow up. It did look pretty ominous in the dark." With the mystery solved, thankfully, we won't have this thing lurking in our nightmares for the rest of our days. Number 3. Hospital Spirit. There's still a presence in this empty hospital room. Instagrammer Paranoid Normal shares footage of what appears to be a spirit passing through. Some in the comments believe that hospitals are a hotbed for paranormal activity, and there's reason for that. Rail8888 writes, "All hospitals have entities, lost souls, etc. Fear generated them, and hospitals are filled with fear frequency. While some believe it's the shadow of a person passing by behind the camera, others see it for what it is, a shadow person." And as with most hospital clips, this has some questioning things in the comments. After all, if a hospital isn't haunted, is it really a hospital at all? Number 2. Mysterious Force. Sometimes things aren't what they seem. Roger Talbot from the Swansea Valleys in South Wales gave his friend YouTuber Chrism2972 permission to share this video of him walking down his path on the morning of April 9th, 2023. This video was captured by his garden security camera. Keep a close eye on the rock. Although Roger is a little sore from his fall, he's otherwise fine. But after watching the footage back, he must be wondering what sort of unseen force is present in his back garden. The rock seems to jump directly into his path without explanation. Watch again. The victim adds his insight in the comments. At RogerRocket9125 writes, "I am the man shown and can assure everyone that after looking at the film from my security camera on my PC frame by frame, I am at a total loss to see my foot connecting with anything. This is a total mystery to me. Thank goodness I have not damaged my artificial knees." Some in the comments think they do see something that might explain it. YouTuber at TrickyTicky7329 suggests that Roger's left foot catches on something that flips the bricks, launching the rock to land in front of him. It certainly doesn't look anything like that. And the more viewers are watching this, the more confused they become. What do you think's happening here? Can this be explained? Or, as the OP suggests, is there a gravity-defying force here, unleashing chaos? Number 1. Casper leaving. Casper the friendly ghost is taking his leave. TikToker Miss Sandra35 shares this footage of a semi-transparent figure appearing to emerge from their front door and vanish into the night. Later in the clip, you can see a dark figure moving down the street. Some believe the ghost actually transformed into the dark figure. While it certainly does look that way, of course, there are some naysayers in the comments. TikToker Viral writes, "After careful analysis, it feels like the white Casper seems like a bag, and the woman at the end is someone taking a trash bin out to the street." While perhaps the figure can be explained, most aren't buying that the ghostly entity is a bag. The whole thing is pretty intriguing and hard to wrap your head around.